In this video, we'll be showing you the best build in all of Elden Ring. Right now, currently as I'm recording this build will completely annihilate any boss, including the final boss of the DLC, Promised Consort, Radon. Anyway, so we acquire this weapon from the Prospect Town. This weapon is the Bloodfiend arm, as you could probably have guessed. This weapon is a colossal weapon that scales with strength and arcane. But of course, you can make it whatever you want. It is an S scaling in occult if you are into that kind of thing. But this build is going to be a strength bleed build. To acquire this weapon, you have to take down the Bloodfiends and the Bloodfiend Chief at the Prospect Town. Please keep in mind that to make this weapon a bleed infusion weapon, you have to acquire the Black Wet Knife at Nokron, which is found in the lands between. When fully upgraded with regular smithing stones, this weapon goes up to plus 25. Infused with blood, it has a 199 Bloodloss Build up. It scales with strength and dexterity and arcane with a C rank. Anyway, so it's a strength and arcane weapon, both on C. And the special attack of this weapon is the heavy attack, or the R2, or the right trigger. If you hold the right trigger or perform a heavy attack, you will deal extra bleed damage. So this weapon really just relies on you surviving an enemy attack and landing that R2 attack. It will pretty much take down and immediately bleed any enemy that isn't a mini boss or boss. But anyway, so here are my stats. I have 60 on strength and 60 in arcane. Level 180. I have a lot of endurance because you will need it. You will need a lot of stamina. So 60 health, 30 plus endurance, 60 strength, and 60 arcane. I don't care what you do with the rest of your stats, but those are the main stats. Anyway, let's check it out against some regular enemies here in the final area of the game. Of course, it will not outperform things that are stronger, but your damage will heavily also matter on the talismans that you use. So I'm using the two-handed sword talisman, which increases my attack power by 15% when two-handing my weapon. The axe talisman, which increases my damage of charged attacks, so the R2 attack, the heavy attack. And for the rest, you can use whatever you want, but I like running the Dragon Crest Shield Talisman, which will increase my physical damage negation, and the Erdtree's Favor, which will further increase my stamina and my health. So, it's not particularly amazing against regular enemies. You know, it works just like any other strength weapon. It has the same moveset as any colossal weapon, so it is slightly slower. The strategy for this weapon is building up Endure. Endure is the Ash of War that I will be using for this build because it builds up poise. That way you cannot be staggered any time you get hit. So the R2 attack, like right there as you can see, dealt a lot of damage with the bleed, and you end up staggering pretty much anything, including the final boss of the DLC, which is regarded to as the worst and most difficult boss in the history of Soulsborne. So it's a bit broken, this weapon right here. Anyway, so if you're not convinced yet, let me show you some additional clips here and then a final strategy against the final boss. So once again, combine it with the Endure Ash of War. When fully upgraded, plus 25, put the Endure Ash of War and Bleed Infusion. This is how we start. Endure, and then R2, or heavy attack, then Endure again, of course, and then R2 again, and that will bleed or break the enemy stance, or both. And there you go. That's how you take down one of the hardest mini-bosses in the game, the Divine Beast Warrior. So how does it perform against the Promised Consort, the final boss of the game? Of course, spoilers, you should know this by now, but let's see what the strategy is. So for my strategy, I'm using the Stone Barbed Crack tier, which temporarily makes breaking guard a lot easier, and the Crimson Whirl Bubble tier, which will allow me to regen when I'm near death. So the strategy here is to drink your flask before you go in, roll towards the attack, then R2, then L2, do Endure, and then R2 again. And then front stab him after you stagger him, and rinse and repeat. But yeah, so the two most important things about this build are of course your stats and your weapon, but most importantly I'm using Rakshasa's set. Rakshasa's set will increase your damage and your damage taken. Of course, if that bothers you for some reason, you can combine it with something else, but you need all of the damage in the world for this fight. But yeah, so that's Radahn's strategy right there. You R2, L2, R2, L2, heal when he does his golden attacks in second phase, and that's it, rinse and repeat. Only heal when he is doing moves like going up into the sky or other things like that. Of course, it will take you a long time to master this, but with the right stats and the right consumables, you will be able to do this. Last but not least, I recommend you use a Holy Proof Liver, just the regular one, not the DLC one, because it increases your holy damage negation by a lot. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this early game build, the Bloodfiend's arm build, which causes bleed, but it's also a strength weapon. Anyway, if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, check out my other build guides. I did questline guides, also very in-depth, all of the dialogue, all of the locations, and more helpful videos for other games as well. Anyway, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.